Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and dabbing, maybe some microphone dabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric, Paige.
Chalking and dabbing, chalking and dabbing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were dabbing while you were chalking.
Microphone grabbing, chalking and dabbing.
We've been demonetized already.
I know already, right at the beginning. Hello, everyone. As the song always says, welcome to the after party 3.0. I have a feeling 4.0 is going to have to start soon, right?
It might be 4.0 before we know it.
Yeah, because I feel like things are going to change,
or at least 3.5 at the very least.
Yeah, something like that. It's myself and Dwayne Johnson, aka Pagey.
Yo, it's me, The Rock. It's me, The Rock,
aka Black Adam,
live from the set of Black Adam.
Yeah.
I've just. What does The Rock eat? I've just eaten food.
See, everybody's asking the important questions. Where's Ben? Where's Ben at? No Ben today. It's just all the important questions.
Currently, everyone is celebrating the lack of Ben.
Did Ben chicken out of doing trivia again? That is yet to be seen, Canada Graphs.
Well, he might show up. I'm not too sure. It's like pretty much put a question mark on it.
Yeah. We'll see. So he is if he's available, he'll be here. So it's always with Ben, that's always the case. If he's available, he will be here. So there you go.
He's just pretend he's got the invisibility cloak on. He's got a silencing charm put on himself. So
I should just what I could do is if it wasn't for copyrights, I could actually just log in on another computer and play like Harry Potter quotes with a picture of Ben on it. That would be pretty funny. I think if we did that. So look, we're going to answer this super chat, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the after party. Some changes are going to be happening soon, so we'll talk about that. But
that's not good.
So get ready for that.
Who knows?
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Maybe it's a positive and a negative.
Is it half full? Is it half empty? You never know.
I don't know. It depends on what type of person you are, Eric.
I'm always negative, so of course,
there you go. So. Everything's
that's on brand for me. It's always on brand for me. All right, we have a super chat from Ash Barry on here, $10 super chat. I don't know why everyone is surprised the writers hate Barry Allen. He can't be smart, he can't develop, and anytime he tries to be in the right, he gets undermined by Team Flash and Iris. I talked a bit about this in my review, and I'm just not happy with Barry's story right now. I know some people are. I've seen this episode, oddly enough, we always talk about like episodes being divisive, like, splitting the fans or whatever. This episode is one of those episodes where it's clear that there's a line down the middle, and there are people that really, really like this episode, and there are people that really, really didn't like this episode. There's I haven't seen anybody who's sort of ambivalent about it. It's literally one or the other. And so, I don't know. We'll talk a bit more about Barry here in a little bit. We'll get to that. But thank you for the super chat. Monquea Edwards said with a $4.99 super chat. And what was the point of Irish pointing out that vintage car? Well, when they went to Barry's old house. Yeah, I saw that in the episode. I didn't know if that was just a joke about something going on set, or if that's leading to something else later on. Did you know the comment that they're talking about, right?
Yeah, I know. And they go, it looked brand new, but it was an old
She's like, it must be a collector or something like that. But I was like, I thought that was gonna.
Then it's parked outside the deserted Allen house.
Right. So my thought process was the still force was going to be there, and he had created another time bubble, and that car was part of that time bubble. But that's not what happened. So I'm like, I don't understand.
I'm assuming it might get explained next episode, because the only thing I can think of is there's a deleted thing. But then why would you keep that? You could easily could have edited that scene where that line isn't mentioned at all.
Right. Yeah, it was a little weird. Unless there was unless there's someone on set that's a car collector and that was their car and they're trying to, it's like an Easter egg for them. I don't know. It was weird. It was very strange. I don't have an answer to that one, and I'm not really sure. All right, we have a super chat from Hood Rat Pat, 499 super chat. Can we talk about the World Security Council from Winter Soldier being Tobias's box? WTF was that? There was a lot of like Marvel references, I think, this week on the shows. They had one on Batwoman, but this isn't new, guys. Like there's always been, especially the Flash. There's always been references to Marvel, right? I mean, every season.
Well,
I feel
in
like
season 1, they like mentioned the Hulk and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it's all like little Easter eggs because
if you want to like think, imagine just the Arrowverse is the real world. So the Marvel movies probably would exist in the. They go and watch the Avengers in the movies, but they don't go and watch Justice League in the movies. They go watch the Avengers because that's like the fictional heroes or the fictional universe.
It's like you could imagine that DC characters are comic books in the Marvel world. Like they go and read Superman comics and stuff like that because that's their characters. I mean, they've never mentioned them, but you could imagine that's probably the way it is, I would guess, as little Easter eggs. But yeah, I think it's kind of fun. I just realized I didn't turn my lamp on. What color should I go with today? Should I do?
Well, you seem angry, so red would probably be the best.
Would it be? Would red be the best? We'll go with do red. Yeah, we'll do red. All right.
Angry Eric.
We haven't even gotten to the news yet. Everybody's got so many opinions about this episode of The Flash. Naruto here with the $2 super chat. Barry in this episode felt like arrogant Barry.
I think it felt more like desperate Barry because it's going to act on something soon.
I don't think he was arrogant, but I do feel like the writing was a little between the characters.
You know what I think the issue is that I think it actually worked out well, but I think the issue is that a lot of stuff that was put in right in the first 10 minutes of the episode, which were really high in like regards to like tension. So if you disagreed, you're going to be like, wow, like I hate what they're doing right now. Wasn't resolved until much later in the episode. So even stuff with like Iris and even just saying like whether Barry was right or wrong or who was right or wrong wasn't resolved till later. And it wasn't really a focal point later in the episode. It just sort of was like breezed over, but they made it such a big thing at the beginning of the episode. Do
you think that this is the reason why this episode is so weird in terms of the way people view it is?
I think that's why it's so divisive.
Like within the first 10 minutes, you decide whether or not you're going to like the episode. Because
it's like people saying that like season 7 is the worst season, and even though we're only halfway through.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
obviously
that.
You have to have a screw loose to think that. But.
Yeah. And on top of that, we still have a completely different story coming in like 3 episodes. So I think it'd be weird to say that. Gary with 1 super chat. Do you think Kate will be staying for the rest of the series? I don't know about the series, but the showrunner said she's going to be there for the rest of the season. So she's got a story that's going to run all the way to the end. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but she's definitely going to be there to the end of the season. So
yeah, people saying there's a new Stargirl trailer. It's the exact same trailer they released
like
2 months
ago.
Yeah.
Are you talking? You say people? Are you talking about Tom because he took the L?
Yeah.
That is, okay.
Unless they put one on Twitter that's completely different.
Look, Laura here. Why is Team Citizen not investigating a story like Kramer? Because we're too busy bringing people back to life.
Wait, what was that? What did they say?
Why is Team Citizen not investigating a story like Kramer? I feel like that would be a good story for them to go into to find out.
I think that's next. I think Kramer is back in the next episode. I'm pretty sure she's on the cast list.
All right.
There's a spoiler or not, but
we will see. We'll see. Well, I mean, I think that we said there's photos and synopsis out there of what's going on. So, all right. So let's get into some potential changes to the format for the after party that will happen. I'm thinking we're going to start this not next week, but either the 26th or the 2nd. Because my hours will change at work. So we'll see. So what's going to happen, guys, is they're still going to be on Wednesdays. We're going to do the after parties on Wednesdays, but we're going to start a little bit earlier and run to the same time. So like it will make the after parties longer, basically. So we're going to add like an extra 30 minutes because normally we run about 1 hour and 20 minutes. We're going to add at least an extra 30 minutes onto the after party, putting it closer to like a 2-hour mark.
And obviously if Eric gets a bit more edgy, it could be an extra hour.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. So we're going to, because everybody's been saying they want more time on the after party to chat with us and possibly get some more people on here. We've got some other potential guests that have asked about joining the show. So like for special events and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is, because I can't run it later because of my job. So the only way to fix it or to make it longer is to start
Who works
it earlier.
nowadays?
So, I know.
Who has a job?
I should just be living the high life, right? That's what I should be doing. But anyway, so yeah, keep an eye on that. Like I said, over the next couple of weeks, we'll decide exactly what the format's going to be, and then we will initiate that format change. And so, well, Canada Graphs, you're always invited, but you're also always out filming and on set. So,
and also there is the beef between Ben and Canada Graphs. We can't have them on at the same time, otherwise, well, Eric knows.
Yeah,
I'll keep it private for now, but
it'll be very bad, very, very bad.
Yeah.
Hood Rat Pat with the 4.9 super chat. Forced storyline, more like forced storyline. Ha ha ha! You see what he did there? That's almost as good as my joke on the Batwoman.
Yeah, that made me want to literally cancel you.
I'll give you a clue. More like forced storyline. Can we get to the speedsters, please? So it's so funny because I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, because I do feel there's a bit of the storyline that does feel a little bit forced. But once we get to the speedsters, then I'm pretty sure people will start complaining about something that they're doing with the speedsters. So,
but if you can say everything's forced. I mean,
it's
what comes naturally.
It's true. But I understand what you're saying, Pat. I get it. I do get it, and I'm excited for it. Gary with 1 super chat, is the Flash going to come in fall of 2021? I saw some people saying that they're considering not starting in fall. Is that
the issue? Is that Stargirl and Supergirl? Well, at least Stargirl would be in the Flash's time slot until like middle of November or something, like November, like the first week of November, the earliest. Right. That's if they have no breaks. So the only thing is that Flash premieres on a different day, or at some point, maybe halfway through the season, Stargirl at least moves to a different day, or Supergirl moves to a different day and Stargirl goes after the Flash, or something like that. But I don't know, if there's usually not like an actual like mid-season break, it's pretty rare they move time slots. I think the only one that's done that this season was Batwoman. Hold on, someone's at my door.
All right. Let's see, what else do we have here? Gwendolyn, excuse me there for a little crack in my voice. Gwendolyn C with the 4.9 super chat. This was an episode that made me contemplate quitting the season. The season just hasn't been appealing to me. The writing is but I'm holding on. I get what you're saying. So Gwendolyn, for me, and I've heard this, what you're saying here, I've heard this from other people as well. It's really strange because I'm really happy with the tone of the show right now. I think tonally and atmosphere-wise, it's exactly where I want it to be. It's exactly where I want it to be. I like it being more dramatic. I like the humor being kind of sidelined a little bit. I like moments that we're getting with like the Joe and the Barry stuff and the Cisco and the Wells stuff. I love those moments. I think all of that is great. It's something that's just not working for me in this Force storyline. The first 2 episodes, which were basically the end of last season, absolutely felt great to me. Especially the quote unquote finale episode or whatever. No, the penultimate episode. I
am back.
Welcome back. But I think that there was a definite shift coming into the season, and that's what's made it kind of weird, because you usually get like that full break, like the show ends for the year, then it comes back a few months later, and then you have like a sort of reboot of the storyline. But this year we had that within the existing season. So it was a little strange. So something isn't really connecting for me yet, but I'm holding out hope for the show. I don't know. I'm holding out hope for the show. Let's see here. We have a Pagey comment here from Naruto. Oh wow, Pagey potentially. Yeah. How many times will you potentially say potentially on this live?
Yeah, in my video, in my trailer breakdown, I think I said potentially in the space of like 3 times in the space of like 5 seconds. So I made the joke, which it's not a roast, it's a meme. Wow. I am eating. So my neighbor went down to the shop and I asked him if he gave me a meat pie. So he got me a meat pie.
Okay.
So I'm eating a meat pie at 8:30 in the morning.
Radical Z here with a $2 super chat. I'm honestly disappointed in Barry. He's timeless. Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, we are going to get into all that Flash stuff. Like I didn't expect you guys to like have so many questions at the start. You're very passionate about it. I think I told you yesterday that this after party was gonna be interesting because I knew a lot of people were not happy with the episode. Which in your review, because of course I watched your review immediately.
Page number 1 fan.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem to be you were relatively positive about the episode. Like you thought it was a pretty solid episode.
By the end of the episode, I was fine with it. I sort of like raised my eyebrow at other early in the episode, but by the end of it, I was fine with it.
All right. Fireflame 62 here. About time Wally was mentioned. He better show up in episode 17. I am not going to say it's not going to happen, but Canada Graphs has been on set, and if Wally were anywhere to be in the season, it would be crunch time for that right now. So I don't know if he's going to come back this season because of filming restrictions, but
they would have told us. If they were going to tell us Nora was back, they would have said.
Mm-hmm. Gary with the one-eye super chat. Do you think the Kate King story will be dragged out until next season? I think, but that's a very high probability. I think that the story with her being Cersei will be finished this season, but I think there's a high potential for Kate to carry on into next season. They wouldn't bother casting Wallace Day to get rid of her that quickly, especially with. I mean, I don't know.
Especially because
Batwoman.
She was in a mask for like 2 or 3 episodes. So
yeah. Ash returns with a $5 super chat. Batwoman writers care more about Kate, who should have died off screen, than the Flash writers care about Barry because only Iris matters. Jeez, you guys are just throwing the L's. Like I thought I was being rough, but you're just like throwing the L's at the Flash right now. Man, people are not happy right now. There's not. I'm not saying I disagree, but man. Oh, Canograph says the only reason you were positive is because you're a DC shill, obviously.
Oh yeah, living it up.
I will times 5 this. I will times 10 this. Supergirl this week. I haven't done my review for it yet because to be quite clear. So here's the thing. People ask me why I didn't do reviews of Supergirl the past 2 weeks. Well, it's a time thing, but it's also because it was the Midvale episodes, and it was. I mean, I just didn't know what I was reviewing, honestly, with those episodes. I tried to do a review for both of them together, and I'm like, does it even matter, really? And then this week we had the quote-unquote bottle episode where it was like a nightmare scenario, like for 95% of the episode. And it was something that could have been done in 10 minutes. So, I don't know. Yeah. We'll get back to Supergirl soon. Let's see. A lot of words being squeezed into this super chat here. Radical with $2 super chat. Anything bad happens after 9. Anything
bad that happens after 9 is on Barry, right? I guess that's what that's what it says.
Yeah. Barry's been kind of different. I've got my notes over here, so we're going to get into that. First, which shows have you watched this week? So I know what we can discuss and what we can't. What
I watched Legends. I watched Flash. I paid attention to half of Batwoman, and I have not watched Supergirl.
Okay. And not Black Lightning,
but
obviously.
I did watch the Son of Sam documentary on Netflix.
Of course you did. Of course you watched it.
Good watch if you want to watch it.
Was it a 10 out of 10 or?
I'll probably give like an 8.5 out of 10. But like, I've watched a lot of serial killer documentaries, so there's a high bar.
So let me talk about my journeys over the last day with gas in my area, or petrol, or whatever you want to call it in Australia.
Gas, dude. Going to the gas station, man.
So the United States had a hack, I guess, into the systems that run one of the pipelines that runs up and down the East Coast or whatever. And there was no shortage on fuel, right? There wasn't one. And the news came out and started saying that there was potentially, as you would say, Paigey, there was potentially a potential for potentially having a shortage of fuel if the pipeline stays shut down before a certain amount of days. Well, of course, because the news started speculating about it, everyone went out and started filling up on fuel and putting it in everything you could imagine, even plastic grocery bags. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I literally was like, I'm just going to go get gas or whatever, as you would say, gas. I'm going to go fill up my tank before I go to work. And there was lines like 10 cars deep just to get to the pump. And then I was like, okay, I'll wait till like 1 o'clock in the morning and then I'll go out and fill up because nobody's going to be out at 1. And there was a couple of people out at 1, but none of the stations had any because people we're hoarding something that expires very quickly. Like fuel for cars doesn't hold its potency for a long amount of time. Like I think it's like 3 months or something before it starts to deteriorate. So they're stockpiling something that does them no good to stockpile. Like if you fill up your tank, that's plenty, right? You don't need to like fill up every jug in the world. You don't need to fill up plastic bags and rain catchers and all these things people are filling up. Anyway, so all these people spent, I would estimate they probably spent, some of these people that went out and did this spent hundreds, maybe even $1,000 on gas, right? Because they didn't think the pipeline was going to be turned back on. The news just came out about an hour ago that the pipeline is back on.
Well, there might be a lot of just random bonfires going on the streets around America.
So as far as I can tell, they said that everything should be normal within the next couple of days because now they have to replenish the supply that everybody was buying up. So America, everybody. It's America.
Well, at least you won't. At least I don't know if you saw the stupid people putting diesel in their cars.
Oh God.
There was stupid people.
Good, hey, RIP your engine, basically.
Hey, there's some diesel fuel here, man. Why is no one getting this diesel fuel?
And you would have to like it would be so difficult to put that into your vehicle because the size of the diesel fuel nozzles are so much bigger than like a consumer vehicle.
You have to have like a wide cap door thing.
Yeah. It's really weird. Hood Rat Pat with the 3.99 super chat. Bothers me Cluemaster suit is top 10 CW history because of how comic accurate it is. I don't judge things by how accurate they are. I judge them by how good they look. You know,
it looked cheap, but it was cheap but accurate. It looked like cosplay, but it still looked accurate.
Like I would say, another suit that was very accurate that we never really got a lot of time with was Accelerated Man. Like we never that was really comic accurate, but.
I thought you were going to say Donna Smoke, but all good.
Maybe possibly. Maybe possibly. Let's see. Radical Z here. How will you feel? How will season 8 feel like without Cisco and Weld? Well, we've already had a lot of this season without.
I was going to say, how did season 6 and 7 feel?
Yeah. As far as Cisco goes, how do I say this without sounding awful? Because I love Cisco, but I feel like Carlos has been kind of dialed out for a couple seasons now. I mean, he hasn't been, in my opinion, totally in it to win it, as they say on the show. I feel like when they gave him the meta cure, that was when he was ready to go from the series. And then he kind of stuck around after that. How do you feel about that? I mean, I love Cisco, but I feel like he's not as important as he was like 3 seasons ago, to be honest.
Yeah, like pretty much the same. You still get good things, but in regards to like the actor, like he was only, especially during like the whole COVID thing where you can't fly out during the episodes. Like there was episodes he wasn't even in. He's probably just sitting there fiddling with his thumbs. Like I don't know how much is there to do in Vancouver, especially during quarantine. So
like even Cisco's character has been written a little frustrated, right? I mean, I feel like he's kind of had this like, you know how you have like a brother or a sister and they don't want to do something, but they're there anyway. That's kind of like how it felt with him on the show with me quite often. Like he was just there because he had to be there. And to be honest, if he feels that way about it, I would rather him just not be on the show because I think it shows, especially in last night's episode. All right, let's see. Make sure we got all the super chats. I feel like I missed one. Maybe I didn't miss one when I was talking about gassing up my car.
What's that song? Gasolina.
Keenan filming a movie in the fake land of Australia. There we go.
Isn't he in Atlanta?
I haven't kept up with the social media recently, so I'm not sure. All right. Oh, here we go. This is a really Stargirl question from Scott Edwards, 49 super chat. Do you think Shiv and Eclipso and Shade will team up to form a new ISA? Also, do you think Godspeed is the next big bad after the Forces? As far as the Stargirl stuff goes, I don't know. I think would it be kind of redundant to do another ISA? Wouldn't it be?
Well, weird? I don't think Eclipso would necessarily, unless it was for other motives. But I think Eclipso is going to be. It'll be like Shade will go in. Like they sort of set that up at the end of last season, but. I don't think Eclipso would necessarily be like part of the ISA. I think Eclipso is going to be like an overarching.
Because I mean, Eclipso is really powerful. He's almost like a godlike character. So
Yeah, it can get very, very OP, and I think that's completely. I honestly think he might go over into season 3.
Mm. Yeah.
That's what I guess to wait and find out.
And do you think Godspeed is the next big bad after Forces? Well, I mean, we've seen so many set photos. I don't want to spoil too much about it. I mean, because we don't really know what the context is, but Godspeed's obviously going to play a big role, or at least have some big moments in the back half of the season. So I don't know. Any predictions on that at all, or no?
He could be. He might not be.
Potentially. That's the key word. Naruto, I remember the news because of the TP shortage. Yeah, we had that over here. Did you guys ever have that in Australia with like a shortage on paper goods?
I think we were the second country.
Oh, really? Okay. Because we had one. So this true story.
Wasn't it? I think it was Japan or China and then Australia.
Oh, really? All right.
I think that's how it flowed because we had the lockdown before America. Because that's why I guess America got so bad with COVID.
So we obviously had it here in this area. And so when I would go to the store, I'd always go in and I was being very, very like, okay, I'm just going to get what I need. I didn't want to grab extra because that's what causes the biggest problems anyway. But they didn't have any. So somebody was telling me at a certain point, I was like, okay, well, we have to start trying to like find something else because the store is not stocking it up. So we have a place here called Office Max. I don't know if you have that in Australia or not, but it's basically
we have Office Works.
Okay. So basically it supplies office related stuff, obviously, like chairs, tables, pens, pencils, things you would use in an office, right? But it also supplies toiletries because they stock like office buildings, and office building bathrooms need toilet paper and paper towels. So a friend of mine was like, just go and order in bulk from Office Max because they have it, because nobody is buying that much at a time because it's so much or whatever. And I was like, well, it's going to be a lot, right? It's going to be so much money to go and, buy this toilet paper in bulk from an office supplier. It actually wasn't that bad, but it ended up, we got like a box of like 87 rolls of toilet paper for like $60 or something like that. But we still have plenty of it left. Like we got that at the beginning of the pandemic last year, and it's lasted us all this time because we got so much of it. And it's really weird because a lot of people weren't doing that, but we ordered it. Like we ordered the box and it literally got here like a day later because because nobody was open. See, that's the gag to all of it, because nobody's office buildings were open. So they had like stocks of like boxes and boxes and boxes of toilet paper and stuff that nobody was buying because it was in bulk. So when I ordered it, they were like, ship it out immediately. So we got it right away. And I was like, that's pretty impressive how quickly they did that. So have to remember, like, keep that in mind next time that happens, guys. Go to Office Max or whatever is it, Office World. So
you can also get a good deal on mints.
Really?
Like mints. I just buy like jugs, like jars of mints. Not meat, like mints, like meat, but like
yeah,
peppermints. Like peppermints.
Right. Yeah, I understood what you're saying.
Thank you, Eric.
I got it. I don't know if the chat got it, but I got it. Josh Z here with a $19.99, basically a $20 super chat. People complaining are irritating me a bit. There's no explanation for a time travel Wells, but Iris has been inside the Speed Force and did have Barry's powers, yet a passive connection to the Speed Force does not make sense. So thoughts on that one?
I'm fine with that because it's a throwback to season 1. So I'm fine with the connection there. What? So is this just people like Josh?
I think it's just generally people complaining about it online or whatever.
I think that's right. If that's what you're saying, Josh, then I agree with you. Like, I don't think it's. I think if anything, it's probably just because it's Iris people are complaining about it.
And I will say that these two things are not mutually exclusive. I think you can be annoyed with Iris and also be annoyed by the Wells thing. Like, I think it's you can say both of them bother you. Like for me, I don't totally understand the Wells thing. I don't get it. I wish it would have been more clear cut. I don't know if do you think they'll even explain it at all this season?
The Wells stuff?
Yeah, like how it works and everything, or are we just supposed to go, okay, it's particles, it's all them combined, and that's it? That's just the way it is?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. It's just, the Wells thing is probably the most confusing thing on the show.
So my issue with Iris isn't the passive connection to a Speed Force. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's absolutely okay to say she's had the Speed Force in her, so there's residual energy or whatever. My issue with it is that they arbitrarily pick what it can do and when it functions. Like, that's my problem with it. I wish it was a more defined connection that kind of had a little bit of scientific like reasoning behind it, because right now it's like the power of love combined with the speed force, and that's my issue with it. But I don't know, I'm not ready to go crazy on it because I don't think we totally understand what they're going to do with it this season. I think we'll have a better understanding of it once all the force stuff is wrapped up. So I'm holding off on like raging on that. It does annoy me, but it doesn't annoy me any more than the Wells stuff. I think that they both equally, get under my skin.
Ooh, angry Eric incoming. You heard it first.
Gwendolyn with the 1-9 super chat. Excited for Superman and Lois return next week. I am too. Adios, boring girl.
Gwendolyn dropping microphones and dabbing on.
Let me say this. This episode of Supergirl was supposed to be their mid-season finale because that's what they were calling it. And it was one of the worst episodes that Supergirl's ever had, in my opinion. One of the worst. So I can't wait for Superman and Lois as well. I feel the same way as you. Let's see. Ashbury on with a $5 super chat. The character writing for Team Flash has been shaky since Flashpoint. Depressed Cisco, retconning Killer Frost, and just blaming Barry for everything. I don't think the decline for me was at Flashpoint. I think there's been ups and downs since Flashpoint. I think for me, the absolute worst that the Flash has ever been was season 5.
Well, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, I think the Flash every season has had ups and downs. I think season 5 was writing wise was the worst season for me. And so for me, I can't just say it's Flashpoint because I feel like we've had some really, like season 6 had some really good stuff in it. And we're not done with season 7 yet, obviously, but I'm not going to defend the writing for Flash. There's been bad stuff. There's tons of bad stuff that's happened in this episode, in my opinion. But
well, here's the big question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather watch the Flash season 5 again, or eat one of those burgers from Legends this week, including the sauce?
I'd eat a burger from Legends, I think, before I'd watch the Flash season 5 again. But we are getting Nora back. Spoiler alert: we're getting Nora back. Do you think she's going to be the same Nora, or is she going to be a different personality from the one we knew before? What do you think?
I'd have to assume she'll be somewhat similar, but maybe her and Bart will be similar in how they act. Maybe I'm not too sure. Depends if they're twins or not, because they haven't confirmed whether they're twins or not. Which
is weird because Nora does look a lot older than Bart does. But oh well. Oh wow, King Mike Todd's with $100 super chat. Thank you so much. That's crazy. Thank you. I know this is a lot, but I've been watching you both for years and wanted to show support to you, Eric. I won't be surprised if The Flash ends after season 8 or 9. Did hear that Warner Brothers is going to make Clark Kent black now and people are losing their minds. So we can address all of. Thank you again for the super chat. Like, this is awesome. I appreciate all of them, but sometimes people just are so generous. I really do appreciate it. So do you think, so people have been talking about this quite a bit because we know that people are working on re-upping their contracts or whatever. I don't see any reason why The Flash would end after season 8. I think it's a potential they could, because we are getting, without trying to be disrespectful to The Flash, higher quality shows now. But I don't know why they would unless Grant wanted to go.
Well, like the thing is that, you know, when in that off season, you know, because of COVID, before they went to do season 7, Grant was talking how he was in talks to sign for 2 more years. By that point, they knew that that Carlos and Tom were leaving.
Right, and they went ahead and got Chester and Allegra to sort of
So they knew it before they even talked to Grant about the 2 years, and Grant was talking about that was what was going to happen. So, so Carlos and Tom's departures won't have an effect on Grant because that was already in talks. It's more, I guess, maybe because we'll always have the ratings to stay on. It just depends, I guess, what's going on, because there's still the big question mark about whether WB would still have the Flash show on while the movie's coming out, because by this point, season 9 would be at its if you could get to season 9, it'd be like halfway through season 9 when the Flash movie comes out. So would they want both of them being on at the same time? Because it really, like, I think it shouldn't be too much of an issue with both of them existing at the same time. But you know how W's been in the past, but then they've said, oh, we can have both of them at the same time. But will they actually live up to that?
Yeah, yeah.
And Ash Grant wants out. If he wanted out, he wouldn't sign a contract.
Right.
He wouldn't be doing season 8.
And I don't think that WB, like you look at all the other properties or whatever, I don't think WB looks at the Flash the same way they looked at some of the other shows. I think the other shows were always expendable to them, except for Arrow, obviously. But that was a creative decision to end the series. That wasn't the network. Because I guarantee you the network would have continued to allow Arrow to go on as long as it wanted to, just like Supernatural. But the creative just decided they didn't want to do it, or Stephen Amell didn't want to do it, because didn't they tell him they would offer him like a full season pay to just come back for like the episodes in season 8?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was specifically, but the thing is that you got to remember that when Grant was talking about those 2 seasons, he was talking that was season 8 and 9, so he signed a contract. So whether it is just for season 8 or it is the 2-season contract he was talking about, he signed a contract, right? For more seasons. So yeah, and it'd be pretty weird they just signed him on for one more season. Yeah, unless that was all he was saying. But I think that would actually have been out in the air already.
Yeah, that would have been big news, I think, obviously. Yeah. And the second part of your question here, did you hear Warner Brothers is going to make Clark Kent black now and people are losing their minds? I've read a bit about it. I don't know what's reliable news and what isn't when it comes to this, because the original statement was they were going to do a black Superman, but they weren't going to make him Clark Kent. And now I've heard statements where he's going to be Clark Kent and it's going to be a black Superman story based on Clark Kent. I'm not losing my mind. Obviously, I love just about everything when it comes to the comic book stuff. I'm willing to give everything a shot. So if they wanted to do like a black Clark Kent Superman story, I can't sit here and be like, I'm not going to go see it, because I obviously would. So I would still want to go see and check it out and see what it's about. But I think it would be a missed opportunity for them to tell a very different story about Superman if they didn't do Val Zod or they didn't do something like Calvin Ellis. I think that would be so different and so unique and so new. Like if you look at perspective, and I know people are going to be like, I'm shilling for Marvel. Here we go. Get ready, Paige. You're going to say it or whatever. But the Miles Morales Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse animated film did so well because I think people were hungry for another story that wasn't Peter Parker. Like they're like, we love Spider-Man, but we don't want to see Peter Parker's story again. We've seen it like 4 or 5 times now. We want a different Spider-Man that we can go watch and see and get different stories from. I think it would make more sense for them to tell a different story, because just making the Clark Kent story and making him black, for me, that doesn't change it enough to make it interesting. You know what I mean? But if that's what they want to do, I'll go watch it. Do you have any opinions or thoughts on this before we move on? Or
like, if the 2 characters of Val Zod and Calvin Ellis didn't exist, then fair enough. But you've got them sitting there. It's like saying, "Oh, we're going to make Hal Jordan black." Just like, are you an idiot? Jon Stewart's sitting there,
right?
It's pretty simple like that. Or if you're going to make Diana Prince black, hello, you got Nubia sitting there,
right?
Which provides a different story as well. So it's just the thing I've heard. It feels like the terms I've seen is like it's pandering and then tokenism. And the one thing we can hope is that it was a typo,
right?
Because all it is to be a typo is a hyphen. Because I don't think they said Clark Kent,
right? They said
I don't think they actually said Clark Kent. I think they just said Kal-El. But Kal-El is Calvin Ellis, and he's just Kalel without the hyphen,
right?
So I would prefer Val Zod. I think Val Zod's the much more interesting character.
I agree.
But if they go Calvin Ellis, then fair enough if they want to go down that route. They said it's a period piece. I don't know if that means 1800s, 1900s, early 2000s. I don't know what they mean specifically, where they would put that. Even Steel. Like, was it John Henry Irons or Henry Irons, whatever it is? Like, even still, if they wanted to, maybe they got Shaq in the back saying, "Hey, that was me. Leave it. Don't touch it."
Right.
Maybe Shaquille O'Neal's getting his lawsuit on.
I agree. I think, but I also get a little bit concerned when they say it's a period piece, because it makes me wonder if it's also going to be a tokenization / like, discriminatory type story where they're not doing anything new or different. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping that they've really thought about this, because I actually didn't even realize, and I think I've mentioned this on a previous stream. I don't know if it was this one or one of the weekly geeklies, but I didn't realize that the idea of actual equality versus tokenization was something that it's very easy to recognize once you understand what it is. You know what I mean? And so I watched a few podcasts and they were pointing out like this is the difference between what tokenizing is versus giving someone actual equality. And when you change a character and make them a different race or a different gender, and you don't make the story feel real or genuine enough, it becomes more of a tokenization than actually giving that character something. And so I hope that that's not what they do with the Superman story. Because I don't think there's anything wrong, obviously, with doing a completely different, like Elseworlds or alternate timeline or multiverse story with a different Superman. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. And of course, I'll support it. But I just hope that they consider everything when they're doing it. And that's it.
Well, it's just like how they made Carol Danvers. They made Carol Danvers look like she's in the comics, and now they're doing Monica Rambeau.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're doing Kamala Khan. Well, I know Kamala Khan's different, but you know, like you've got Monica Rambeau, and they're going to be able to develop her in the way that she should be developed and give her the story, and like they cast her who she should be. And I think that's one of the big things is that sure there should be like diversity on screen, but when there is diverse options that are already there, you can literally rip them from the page and chuck them on screen, and you choose to just bend them to as either to pander or whatever it is. That's where you are really on rocky territory. And I don't understand like the whole just Hal Jordan, John Stewart thing is a good example of it if they wanted to do that. Because we're giving you a Green Lantern, but it's just like that they both exist, just take one. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like I'm interested to see what happens and whether they just clarify, because I think they need to clarify sooner rather than later. Because the longer it sits there, the more it the worse it's going to get, I think, in regards to the public's perception is not going to change randomly in like a year or something when they say this is the person that's cast as this character. It's I'm still with the same issue. It's not just going to randomly go away. So
right. And we've seen already how when you're too secretive about something, it can backfire on you. So I feel like that's a problem as well. Yeah. So Cammy Anime with the 4.9 super chat. Part 1, I really wish Eric Wallace started as showrunner in season 3 of The Flash. Like he's doing really great things to fix up the show in season 7 now. So that's the first half of a statement there. Would you agree with that statement? Do you think Eric Wallace is doing really good as a showrunner? Do you think he's handling the show very well?
In season 3, well, it's hard because I don't think he came onto the show until season 4.
Season 3 is a tricky one, right? Because that's obviously the Savitar season. So
yeah. But you can say in like hindsight looking back, but then again, like he could have made the same mistake. You never know. But I'm happy where we are now. And I think Eric Wallace has even said in the interviews and stuff, he has the examples of looking back and seeing how things happen, fan reception to those things, and how he wants to do it going forward. Like he wouldn't have done the graphic novel thing in season 3.
Right.
He's done it now, saying like I think he uses the DeVoe thing as an example where there was really, really good stuff there, but it was stretched over from episode 1 to 22 or 23.
And he wouldn't have necessarily come to that conclusion if he had been there since season 3.
Yeah, it's completely different because back then that was the big thing. Like the only I think Arrow did in season 2 where they had split into 2 things, but that was really it.
And the second part from Cammy here with the 99 super chat. Thank you again for the super chat. But he would have been so much better before, so he didn't have as many plot holes and contrivances, even with the Crisis storyline in his hands. It's still okay, but I'm trying to push through. So Crisis is another thing that I see often mentioned, and I think unfortunately COVID crushed what Crisis would have been setting up. I think a lot of the issues we've had with like crossovers and making the most of that merging of all the shows between shows being canceled or ending or storylines being, completely rewritten and stuff like that. I feel like the pandemic played a part in ruining what Crisis would have been, because you got to think about it. The 2 shows that benefited from being part of Crisis were Black Lightning and Supergirl, and they're both ending this year. So they don't really factor into it. The only thing that we really got out of that kind of makes it worth it, I guess, it's Superman is on the same Earth as everybody else. So that is a benefit of that. And it is the first season of Superman and Lois. So we have that going forward. But I think Crisis would have been much more impactful if we would have been able to do a big crossover thing this season before Black Lightning and Supergirl ended, right? Would you agree with that? Do you think that would have made more sense? Because it doesn't feel like anything changed because we haven't had a chance to really take advantage of Crisis. It's caused a lot of issues between the shows, but there's no benefit because we never got a crossover after it happened. So,
yep.
I don't think Eric Wallace could have fixed that, though. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I don't think there was any way to
unless
fix that
he came
all.
up with a cure on the first day of COVID or something.
Yeah. As far as plot holes go, I think all the shows suffer from plot issues. I think that happens when you've gone on for so long. Like, I would guarantee if you go and you watch like Supernatural season 13, there's probably things that were addressed in like seasons 4 and 5 that they don't even think about in season 13.
Any show that goes over like 4 or 5 seasons will have plot holes.
Yeah.
Whether it's 1 or 10, you know.
I wish it didn't happen, but it does. I don't mind calling them out, but I don't think Eric Wallace could have fixed those because that was your statement here. I don't think anybody involved with the show now could have, you know, retroactively fixed anything. I don't think the show was in a good place over seasons 4 and 5. I think 5 was absolutely the worst. 4 had its issues for me, but I think 4 had some really good stuff as well. But yeah, season 5 was the worst. Eric Wallace may have been better for it, but I think Eric's benefit, like you were saying, Paigey, is looking back and seeing, you know, what was wrong and then being able to correct it for himself. So I think that's a big deal. Let's see. We have some other super chats here. We had 1, 2, there we go. All right. Hood Rat Pat with the 39 super chat. I don't know about y'all, but those Legends burgers looked fire. It was kind of gross to me, right? I mean, the way they were eating them and chewing them and stuff, it was kind of, that's why I put that as the thumbnail for the video, which by the way, probably didn't help the video spread because people saw that and they're like, this is really gross. But I don't know. What did you think about Legends this week? Just because you don't do reviews of it. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it?
I mean, it was just Legends being silly. I thought it was interesting that was the origin of Big Belly Burger.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I actually liked that. I thought it was funny. And you know me, I'm always negative. So, Fire Flame 62, Superman and Lois, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if their break is going to hurt them because they've done a really good job of keeping the show advertised while it was off. Like, I don't know if people know exactly when it comes back, but they know that the show is still out there. And that was one of my biggest concerns, is that when it went on break that we wouldn't see any advertising for it. Do you feel that way or do you not feel that way? I feel like they've done a really good job of advertising for Superman and Lois.
Yeah, the trailer they released today was very, very, very good.
Yeah. Naruto with the $5 super chat. Thinking about the other day with Supergirl and Superman and Lois, none of these shows are really getting a mid-season finale. I'm okay with that. Like, mid-season finales are hit or miss for me. Like, I feel like they're not always, like the Supergirl one that we just got was not great because they're not a true mid-season finale. It's just kind of, this is where we're going to take our break. And yeah, I'm not too happy about that. Let's see. Next super chat. Are we caught up? I think we might be. No, I see one. C2. Quinlan, I'm okay with Crisis being used for the change to Bart, but I hope it changes toward a more realistic to her age character, not acting 12 but an adult. So we had a theory, and I know we've talked about this before, but I do want to bring it up again because we're going to see her again this season, that I do think Nora was supposed to be younger, right? From the way she was written. Like, I don't think she was supposed to be in her late 20s. I think she was supposed to be a much younger character on the show. Didn't we kind of figure that was what they wanted to do?
Yeah, because what was she? She was like 26 or something on the show.
Yeah.
But I think it's clear that she was meant to be like a teenager, like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Maybe 16, around that. But when Jessica Parker Kennedy did the role, I think she was 33, 34.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think she's 37 now.
Right.
So I'd be interesting to see what age the character is now when she shows up in episode 17.
She's 20. She's 20 now.
Well, I think it depends on Bart if they're twins.
Yeah.
But then again, the guy that plays Bart is like 26 or 27. Like, he's not necessarily overly young.
He just looks very young.
Yeah.
$2 super chat from Naruto. Like the plot hole of Ralph dying in season 1. I don't think that's a plot hole though, right? Is that a plot hole? Would you consider that a plot hole?
No, they were just naming characters at that point. They didn't know they were going to use Ralph.
Yeah, I don't, and also there was a lot of time travel.
I think they literally I think they just said Flashpoint was the reason.
Kami here with one eye super chat. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is coming back. Did you like that show? Did you ever watch it when it was on?
Never watched it. I just know they have like a giant box of fries or something as a character.
Yeah, and a giant and a giant drink and a shake basically. Yeah, that was the show, and a meatball. It was a great show. I didn't like it towards the end, but I'm curious what it's going to be like when it comes back on. So, all right. So you guys can continue to super chat if you would like to, but I do want to talk because we're already, I had a bunch of notes over here. I haven't even talked about one thing on the notes because you guys have just been so awesome with your super chat. So I do appreciate it. But
here comes the money.
No, always great to see support. So I do want to talk about this though, because we brought it up very early in the podcast today. And that is the character of Barry on the show, which I feel like he's suffering a little bit. I want to see if the chat feels the same way as me, and I want to see what your thoughts are on this. So out of everybody on the show, between Iris and Joe and Cisco and everybody, I feel like Barry is being sort of shafted a little bit this season in terms of writing. I don't think he's growing as a character. I don't think he's changing from week to week. I feel like he's kind of just along for the ride this season, and that gives me sort of season 5 vibes, or I would say this season in this graphic novel. It feels sort of like he's along for the ride or whatever. I don't know if it's because of just the amount of input some of the supporting characters are having, or if it's because I'm just not happy with the way Barry's being written this season. Do you feel any of that at all, or is that just something that a lot of us are seeing that just isn't actually the thing? Like, what do you think about that?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think Barry is along for the ride this season? Like, do you feel like he's present? Because I feel like there's no growth of his character. There's nothing. Barry is doing things that he's already done before, that we've already established the changes happen, but he's going back and doing them all over again. Do you feel that way about it?
Well, I think they've made Barry very vulnerable in this storyline because of who they're up against and who they look like and who they're representing, and Barry's connection to them both on a Speed Force level as well as like an emotional level. So I think they put Barry in a very vulnerable state. And I think that's why you're seeing Barry like this.
Mm-hmm.
Should Barry have done things differently or taken control in certain areas? Yes, but I think it's the fact that we have this ensemble cast, and I think you just have to let them take, not charge, but have that focus on them at certain points.
But I think we've had moments where Barry has felt really good. Like I think the times where he's doing like CCPD stuff, it's appropriate. Like they give him a little bit of time doing it and then we move on to the next stuff. But outside of that, it's like, for example, in this week's episode, our team members keep forgetting that Barry has made decisions in the past where everybody has been against him, but he's been absolutely right. Like, for example, season 5 with Nora. Everything that Barry felt about what was going on, that everyone kept sort of gaslighting him about, he was absolutely right in the end. And look what happened with Nora. Look what happened with Eobard. So I think it's really weird that they're still constantly like pushing back at Barry. And I think the stuff with like Nora and Speed Force Nora and Iris was done in a way where it's like they purposely stuck the Speed Force Nora in Iris's world just so Iris would give Barry pushback. Because Barry's saying that she's not a real person. I mean, he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That felt disingenuous to me. And then Cisco snapping on Barry like that, that was crazy to me. I mean, I get that Cisco didn't necessarily agree with him, but literally no one, even Chester, who sort of went along with Barry at the end, still felt like it was the wrong thing to do. And the only reason I think Wells agreed to do it is because he already knew that it was going to happen anyway. Whether everyone agreed or disagreed with Barry, it was going to happen because he already seen it happen. So I just feel like it's weird that the team doesn't trust Barry and that Barry's decision was mitigating damage from anybody and literally the only risk they were taking, because they had already established that Timeless Wells could create a time bubble or whatever. The only risk there was that people would lose their powers, including Barry, because they were saying there would be no other implications. So I don't understand why everyone was so adamantly against Barry when I think Barry made a lot of good points there, and everybody else was acting on complete conjecture and speculation and feelings, because to me, it just felt like Barry, he's not a very likable character at the moment, right? I feel like he's not a very likable character, and this week they kind of really hit him very hard with everything. The only character I think that had any meaningful stuff to add with Barry's story was Joe. I think Joe's conversation with Barry felt the most meaningful and the most impactful, and everything else really was just to make Barry look stupid and feel bad, because he came back at the end, he's like, oh, you were all right and I was wrong. And literally he wasn't wrong, he just had a different way of dealing with it. You know what I mean? He felt like when he saw everything there and he changed his mind about it, okay, wonderful, you changed your mind or whatever, but that doesn't mean that your choice would have been the wrong choice. And the fact that the other avatars for the forces were being like evaporating or being erased, was it the entire point of Timeless Wells to not have that happen? I thought that he was there to make sure that they wouldn't change anything.
No, I think like different versions of themselves would be there. I think it's just that the current events, so everything that's happened with them there wouldn't change. So all of the Team Flash's interactions, everything wouldn't change, but those people would. How does that make any
sense, though?
What do you mean?
Like, for example, Abracadabra. Abracadabra was killed by Alexa, and if they take that force away from her, that would totally change the outcome of those events. Like, it would.
No, I think it was that those people get placed in that thing without their power, without that connection to the particular force, whether it's the Sage or Strength or whatever.
Yeah, but wouldn't he be alive? He wouldn't have been killed.
Those events still take place.
How is that even possible?
That's the way it was explained.
I mean, I understand that. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, trying to wrap your head around that, I don't see how that makes any sense at all. Either way,
time bubble, Eric.
I know. Either way, it seems very convenient to me that it's kind of like plot bubble. It's like it was a thing so they could come up with a way to do it so it didn't affect the outcome of the events or whatever. And I get that. But ultimately, what I'm saying here, the point that I'm getting to is what Barry was doing would have prevented anything from changing and anybody from dying that wouldn't have already died. Like, it wasn't going to kill anyone new or change anything like Flashpoint. So the way that Team Flash reacted to him, I just felt like it was a little weird. It definitely was over the top for the sake of the plot. And Barry has been treated this way so often this season, like trying to talk, like, think about it. What villain that has been defeated this season has been held accountable for their actions?
Chillblind.
Yeah, but that wasn't by Barry, right? That was Frost.
It was both.
Right, but it wasn't just like Barry as a character has not defeated a villain this season. It's always been with the help of someone else.
Who else has there been?
Mirror Mistress, Mirror Monarch. We've had Abracadabra, who wasn't really defeated. He just decided to stop doing what he was doing.
He just went up, time to die.
Yeah. I mean, just any of the forces, the Still Force, the Sage Force, he hasn't defeated any of them. Like, he hasn't actually defeated anyone this season without the help of someone else. And with the exception of one potential accountable person, which is Chillblind, no one else this season has been held accountable for anything they've done. And when Iris, it was super meta, because didn't she say something like, we can talk them down, or we should be able to talk them down, or whatever, something along those lines. And I'm like, it's boring. That's boring. Like people, I can feel it right now in the chat. And I want you guys to let me know, is it not boring that every single villain that has been quote unquote defeated this season has been done so with either them deciding to turn themselves in and to just stop altogether, or being talked down? It's boring. We need some action to happen. We need something big to happen. And I don't need it every single week, but it's a series about the Flash. And Iris is sitting here arguing they should talk people down. It's like, and if Iris is immune to the powers of Psych, then she should literally have no fear of the other forces, because she shouldn't be affected by any of the other forces if she's literally just able to break out of Psych's powers. It is a huge plot problem. it seems to me like Iris is so powerful right now. She's literally immune to the power of the forces, but for some reason Barry isn't. And I know in your review,
she's not immune. It's just that when like Psych just used his normal power on her, and then she broke it. But then as soon as
but you even mentioned that Barry was affected by Psych's power, and he wasn't able to break out of it. So she's got an edge up on Barry, meaning that she in this scenario is more powerful than Barry is. So
no, it's because she could sense Psych.
Right, but she should be able to do that for all of the forces, though.
She knew that Nora wasn't Nora. She knew that Psych was Psych that was walking around her. And that's why she was able to break out of it.
I understand that, and I'm not arguing against that. I'm saying that the fact that she is able to take herself out of his powers means that that should be the same for everyone. Like, she should be able to negate the powers of all the forces, right?
Well, no, if they know that they have to go, like, more power on them. Like, the only one that should be able to break Psych the same manner that Iris did is Barry. But you got to remember, at that point, Barry wasn't aware. Like, Barry was in a similar situation where someone's circling them and is able to figure out that that's actually not the person in question. Because in Barry's fear vision, it wasn't one person in general. It was like there was like a group or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It was like 3 or 4 people looking at him, blaming their deaths on him.
Yeah, I do remember. That.
But in Iris' situation, she was fearing Nora, but she's able to pick out that it's actually Psych that's walking around her, not Nora. So that's why Iris is able to snap out of it.
No, I get that. It's just the ability to get out of it altogether to me that felt very like OP.
Well, I think based off their connection to her own minded, it's just
and he called her mom. That was dumb too, because that whole parent thing was only established between when Barry realized that the kids were connected or whatever. That whole thing was established. There was no reason for him to do that.
The parent thing is weird. I don't know why. It felt just a bit odd and just felt. I don't even like use some different. Like, even if they just call themselves the Force family, it wouldn't be as like. Even though they just call them each other like brothers and sisters of the Forces or something like that, it wouldn't be as bad as mommy. Like that's really bad. I don't know who decided that.
It was an unnecessary. It didn't even need to happen. He didn't need to say that. It was a dumb line.
Well, you know why? To give Barry and Iris superiority over them.
Yeah,
that's why, and in particular put Iris above there. So like that's why they did it, but it just felt so weird.
It did, because they are trying to establish them as the kids of Barry and Iris, and I understand that. But Psych saying it to her was really the issue that I had. I was like, why would he say that? That's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Cammy with the 190 super chat. The Venture Brothers coming back too, and yes to Barry. Thank you for the super chat. I didn't watch the Venture Brothers, so you know. Ash here with the $10 super chat. Eric forgot that Barry can never be right. Iris is a leader, and whatever she says goes. Team Flash will never back Barry. Will always be the most worthless part of his own show. They don't care. Wow. I did forget that, actually. I did forget all of that. So, any thoughts on that? Paige.
What?
You say any thoughts on the super chat here?
Hold on, let me read it. Eric forgot that Barry can never be right. Iris is the leader, and whatever she says goes. Team Flash never back Barry, and he will always be the most worthless part. Of his own show. They don't care. Well, thanks for wasting $10, Ash. See you next week.
So this is the sentiment that I'm seeing a lot of places, though, is that people feel like the show is focusing too much on like the team and not enough on Barry. And I agree with that part. I don't necessarily agree with the stuff about, him being worthless or whatever, but I do agree that I feel like the ensemble cast has become almost just as important as Barry is. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. It's a really strange, because I expect that on Legends. I expect that on shows where like everybody's sort of at the same level of, when it comes to like writing and stuff, but the Flash should be the main character, and making him unlikable isn't really what you should be doing. And I feel like that's kind of the direction they're going with him.
I don't find Barry unlikable though.
Well, they're making him a bumbling idiot that is always wrong. Like,
but the thing is, in this episode, like I think I said in my review as well, like I think Barry was right if the Force holders were doing bad stuff. Dion isn't, and Alexa willingly isn't.
So you don't consider trapping people out of their time and forcing them to live out their lives in the 90s was not a bad thing?
Well, not necessarily an evil villainous thing. To the point,
But it's
Psych to me is the only one who's doing villainous things.
So Allegra randomly killing people wasn't bad. I mean, they've all done stuff that is bad.
She killed a villain
who was not really a villain anymore.
As Fueza, who they've pretty much highlighted in the trailer for this week, is another side of her, and they're trying to make her control it. So it's like this like Jekyll and Hyde situation.
I get that, but those are things that happened after the fact. Like if we're talking about just face value here, we're talking about what has happened already. And like one of the things that Team Flash is trying to establish is you don't go out and kill people just because they've done bad things. So how can they overlook that has happened with people who were not part of Team Flash? Like she killed someone and it has not been addressed. They've not had a conversation about that. Like, it's not like they said, oh, well, she killed somebody, but she did it when she was the Hulk, so we're not even going to address it. That's the same situation with Killer Frost and Caitlin. When she was Killer Frost and did bad things, we still expected her to be held accountable. So I can't pretend that Alexa gets a pass on that because she hulked out and did it. That's not an excuse for it. And I think it's the same thing with what you call
well, that's the thing. I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm saying Barry knows that Alexa isn't a bad person.
Which is why he wanted to do something to prevent them from getting killed while also protecting people because they can't control their powers. It's like if someone had, if somebody randomly spontaneously combusted and killed people around them, but they were able to do it every day and not know when it was going to happen, that is a dangerous thing. And the only other option would be to lock them up in Iron Heights or something. Like you can't just be like, oh, they're allowed to live their lives, like Cisco was saying, while they're out doing things that may or may not be harmful to people. Like Dion is teleporting around, stopping in time, calling himself a god. He's not a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different if he were doing things that were helping the public, but
is he a bad guy?
Potentially, yes.
But not fully.
I would say I would consider, if I were one of those people trapped in the 90s, forced to reenact my world around his vision, he would be a bad guy to me. Because he's forcing me to do it. He's locked me into a reality that's not mine. So I think that's pretty awful. People were saying the same thing about Wanda on WandaVision when she was doing that to the people. Dion was basically doing the same thing. And he's threatening people. Like he touched that item and corroded it by reversing its, making it old in the span of seconds. He's potentially very dangerous. Psych is very dangerous. So I think the argument that they can be redeemed comes with literally there's no reason to think that. They don't know these people. Iris doesn't know Psych. She doesn't really know Dion. They don't really know Alexa. So they're talking about giving these people free reign to quote unquote live their lives while also acknowledging that they're very dangerous people. It was a weird argument. Barry's solution was the best solution at that moment. That's all I'm saying. And so on the show, it felt very forced to me that Iris was siding with everyone else but Barry. Why is she siding with everyone else but Barry? Look at what look at the links that she's gone to save Barry in the past and to overlook things that people have done. Iris never, ever would do something like that to Barry just like that quickly. Like she's had arguments with him, but
wasn't Iris's before the actual plan was like when Iris had her one was just like she just knew it was time travel. Like the actual
she knew what he wanted to do. She didn't know the details, but she knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to go back in time and prevent the forces from happening. That's all she knew. But she thought that was wrong because she's like, you can't do that to them. We have to talk to them and basically give them an opportunity to change.
No, didn't she want to talk to Nora?
Yeah, because she was siding with Nora, but it's the same difference. She knew the basis of his plan. Like she knew kind of what he wanted to do. It wasn't until much later on that he talked to Wells that he knew that they could do it without making any massive changes because she knew that he wanted to change it.
Yeah, but Iris's point of view at that point wasn't necessarily, so like the forces don't get to live their lives necessarily. Wasn't it just
Nora, but still Nora killed someone in front of her. Nora literally tried to kill her and killed Alexa. Alexa was dead when Iris was standing there. She was already dead. So it still doesn't make sense for her to just jump on Nora's defense when we already know that Nora has been doing bad stuff. And Nora is not a person. She's not a human. Like, it's not like she's going to just start living a normal life, living in a house and going out and drinking coffee every day. Like, she's the Speed Force.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, did you agree with... Because I don't think it's necessarily coincidence. It's necessarily followed the previous episode. No, did we have... Was this episode? Yeah, we had the break, didn't we?
Which one?
This episode... I think we had a break before this episode. We had that 2 or 3 break. It's not too much of a surprise that this episode's following the episode in which we're like Killer Frost makes the whole point about meta powers deserving their identity.
Yeah, like that does make sense. I get it. Yeah, you're right. That was.
I think I know it's been a break, but do you think if this episode followed that week's episode straight after, your opinion would be different because it's pretty much a parallel?
I would say if Nora were if Nora were actually Nora and she were a real person, I would feel that way. But she's not a person, and Barry establishes that when he talks.
Well, I'm more talking about the false holders of like Dion and Alexa.
The only way I would say
because especially with Dion's like it is him at the moment. Like he feels like, and we don't necessarily know what's going on with Psyche. I think that this upcoming week's episode dives into that whole thing.
But they would have to show remorse. Dion was given an option this week to change, and he didn't. He said no. He wanted to just continue doing.
Yeah, but I think that was more. I think he was more on the defense because he felt everything was going to be ripped out of, be taken away from him.
But he still didn't consider anything else. Like he literally was just like, no, I'm not gonna be a part of this or whatever. And he's like, I'm a god.
Well, I think that's just more him not trusting. And him once again being.
But that's my entire point. They don't know Dion, and Dion doesn't know them. So Iris making a big huff and puff about anything about people they don't really know seems really stupid to me. Like she doesn't know these people. Maybe they would be better without the connection. Maybe they're being corrupt. Does Alexa want to turn into the Hulk all the time? She probably doesn't.
She doesn't want to. That's another side. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like. I get it, Alexa. I can see both arguments, but I think in the moment we were in on the episode, Barry's argument made the most sense to me. Personally,
to me, like it just looked like this is like I don't think my opinion will change on it. Like in regards to this, I think Barry's plan was only right, and it would have been 100% right if they were all bad. If they were Nora level and what Nora's going around doing and stuff like that. If they were like that, then I'd be like, okay, fair enough.
But Barry was doing it to protect them from Nora because they can't stop Nora. That's what he was doing it for. It wasn't like Barry was doing this because he didn't want them to have their powers. He was doing it to take the targets off their back because Nora is going to kill them anyway. So
yeah, but I think that's the same thing when if you had speedsters. Let's just say you had Godspeed going around and he was killing speedsters. Would you gather all the speedsters in a room and give them the metahuman cure? You're no longer speedsters. Because you're a threat, you're a target of Godspeed. That's coming to take your speed. Would you do that, or would you let them, would you rather rally around them or bring them together to try and take down the larger force together?
If the other members were willing to do that. Like,
yeah,
if the other forces were willing to do that, then that would be fine.
And that's exactly what Joe's speech was about.
Yeah, well, I said Joe's speech was fine with me. I think Joe had the best, one-on-one this week next to, the Cisco and Tom stuff. Or the Cisco and Wells stuff. But I think that coming in the middle of the episode after everything that happened with Iris was the part that bugged me. I think Iris's stance on this was so firm and Cisco's reaction was so firm on this that it felt to me like it was really rushing the storyline. Like I feel like that maybe if they had a moment maybe if Iris would have had this interaction with Psyche before this happened, or if maybe something had happened where the villains feel like maybe they could be good guys, maybe possibly. Only Alexa to me is the one that I feel like has had any growth in that direction. Both Dion and Psyche haven't given me any indication that they are trying to do anything positive with their powers. Psyche, and I know in the comics Psyche isn't always villainous. He's not even really a villain, but he's
sort of in Dion's situation.
Yes, I would agree with that. But on the show, we haven't reached that point with those characters. We haven't had enough time with those characters for that level of commitment from Iris to do anything to save them. It's just really silly to me. We've had characters that they've known for a lot longer where they're willing to sacrifice that. But with these characters they barely know, all of a sudden it makes a difference. And it sort of adds into that whole there are children type thing, which is really weird to me. It's really, really weird to me that that's the angle they're going with. Because I totally get the Nora and the Bart thing, but these forces being their children, that's just another level of strange, in my opinion. And
yeah, I don't agree with the whole children thing. That's obvious. I think that's the clear error. I think I've seen anyone defend that. I think if you do defend that, then I think you're a bit off base.
So to move along here, Stagger Forth the 49 super chat. The best part of the action show is when the villain gets defeated by force, and I would say I agree with that for the most part. I think that we don't need it every single week, but this season has had a very small amount of that, and it's kind of bummed me out a little bit. Cody with the $2 super chat. All the force users are misunderstood. I would say they are, except for Nora, the Speed Force. I think she's a different. Would you agree that she's?
Well, we don't know anything about Psyche. We have literally know zero about Psyche. I'm pretty sure that's what this upcoming week's episode is going to be about. But I think if you want to look at the three forces we have, Alexa is the one we do understand. We know she's a good person. There's just this other side of it in the force,
right.
And she's the one that has zero control over her powers.
Right.
Dion and Psyche both have great, full on control of their powers. Alexa has zero control because if she did, she'd probably be able to be strong just as she is.
Do you think that she is going to, after this training or whatever, she will join Team Flash for a time to help them?
Well, I think she'll be. I think what it is that she'll be able to use her powers without going probably into that big hulking monster thing.
Right.
Or
which is what happens in the comics. In the comics, she can use her powers without becoming
a big creature. And if she does go the full hulking thing, it's probably she goes ultra next level using all of my powers or something like that. But I think that's what you have with Alexa. You have the person who is on the good side of things but just doesn't have the control of the powers. Dion and Psyche both have their powers, but Dion is that person who feels ownership and really isn't anything without those powers in his eyes. And then Psyche is the completely misunderstood one because we know nothing about him. We know about Dion a decent amount, Alexa a good amount.
I have a prediction that I think that what's going to happen is all the forces will eventually come together to face against the Speed Force. Nora.
The thing I'm wondering though is that I don't because the thing I'm not understanding, because they just haven't revealed it yet, because I don't think they'd want to show it too early, is whether after Nora quote unquote killed Alexa, whether she got the Strength Force and she could use it, and if she does something with Dion. Is she able to stop time and stuff like that? We
saw her when she ran up to Dion at the end. Do we see another color on her lightning yet?
No, she didn't. She has the red. She has red, blue, and yellow, but she doesn't have green. So if she shows up next episode and all of a sudden has green around her, we can assume that she's somehow gotten that Still Force ability. Whatever that means for Dion, I don't know. But
not good, I'm guessing. Dion is a WandaVision ripoff, right? No, I wouldn't say it's a ripoff.
It was written before WandaVision.
Well, on top of that, also, I think that it's a completely different. It's not completely different. It's very, very different on what he was doing. But I was saying in terms of forcing people to live in his bubble was where I was getting the WandaVision connection from. But yeah, let's see. We had another super chat, I thought. Did we? Are we caught up? That might be the last one there. Let's see. We're all caught up there. All right. So, oh no, we have another one here. Naruto. Do you think we'll see the forces go, I choose you? Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. That'd be a bit much. All right. What do I have in my notes quickly? Because we're getting towards the end here. But that's going to change soon, though, guys. Remember, longer after party soon.
If you want more weekly debates, then send in some topics. Eric was getting red in the face.
We could talk about. I know. What force would you want to have? That's an interesting question. I would like to have the Still Force. I think the
Still Force easily.
Yeah, I think that's the best one for me.
If you can't have Speed Force.
It's one of those two, obviously.
But in regards to the 3 new ones, I go still Force.
Okay, so let's talk about this because I want to see how you understood it versus how the chat understands it. So Alexa was dead. And then Barry and Iris, because they were on the same page, had the power to bring her back to life. Is that what happened? Is that exactly what happened there?
What do you mean?
So they were saying that because they were in sync, they were able to bring her back to life. That was what they said in the episode. What do you think that means? Do you think they could do that to anybody now? They could just bring people back to life, or is it just Force users?
Well, I'm assuming it's because a Force holder killed or did something to Alexa. That was my general thoughts around it. Like,
you mean that the Speed Force was the one that killed her?
The Speed Force was the one that did something to Alexa, so that's why Barry and Iris were able to do it. But if it was, and Alexa's another Force holder, so if like the Speed Force did it to Cisco, I don't think that'd be able. Logically, I don't understand how they'd be able to bring.
Let me ask you this, because you seem to be comfortable with it happening this way, and that's fine. But would you feel the same way if they're just randomly able to bring people back to life by doing?
No, if it was just like Joe Schmo off the street, they'd be like, "Well, can we get some explanation around that? Like some like proper connection?" Because I'm only just going off the connection that they're all false holders,
right? I'm
not going off if there's any actual proper explanation as to, oh, well, this lightning bolt connects to this lightning bolt, and then they played Operation and Twister at the same time, and then all of a sudden they went through the door at the same time and they're all connected and they high five and then she's back to life. Like, I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm just going off the base level of Force holder, quote unquote, killed this Force holder. Then this Force holder with the connection to this person is able to do it. Hopefully they explain it. Maybe Dion gets yeeted and they have to bring him back to life and it gets properly explained. I don't know. Speed Force was doing the reverse flash.
This isn't really a debate, is it? Right? This isn't a debate. I mean,
well, a simp over who? That's the question, because you can't just like, you can call someone a simp, but it usually helps when you describe and or name said person they are simping over.
Wait, she was holding a football at the end?
Because Dion was playing with. Oh yeah, no, but she was shaking it, wasn't she?
Yeah. She was using like the reverse flash thing or whatever. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what were we talking about? Yeah, so
because Dion was playing with the football and just landed near her.
Introverted Unicorn. It was really weird to me how their love and unity suddenly brought her back to life. Well, again, so the only reason I'm not going off on it right now is we're not totally sure, like what Iris's role in all of this is. And
also it just happened, and then it like right towards the end of the episode, it was just sort of put in there to bring Alexa back to life.
Yeah,
quickly. They, as I said, they might explain it. I'm hoping they do, or at least give a better idea as to how and why it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, because you guys know I love a good nitpick. I'll nitpick just about anything. But
when are you going to get nitpicker, tattooed on your forehead?
I don't know. Soon. When 100,000 subscribers. 100,000 subscribers.
How about another $100 super chat and you do it? That'll probably pay for the tattoo.
No. Look, here we go. This is what I was waiting for. This is the kind of content I like. They're in sync. When is the musical episode? Meaning that Barry and Iris.
Well, the big question around that is, Wells a Backstreet Boy?
And
if so, who are the other boys in this said Backstreet?
Fresh Sounds Florida, pep talks fix everything. Well, not everything, almost everything, just about everything. So overall, though, I think so. For this episode, I will say that I love that the tone of the series, it feels really good right now. I think that the format, like the last 2 weeks or last 2 episodes we've had, well, actually, basically the last 3 episodes, I think, have had more of like an old school Flash feel to it. And I mentioned that last week's after party, that I thought that the Flash was, the last time we talked about the episode, that it's feeling a bit more like the old school and stuff. Are you enjoying the current tone of the show, or does it not feel any different to you? Because it does feel different to me a little bit than what we had last season.
Yeah, I'm liking the tone. I don't have any issues with it really at all.
I think Eric Wallace understands I mean, might complain about his writing and people may not like this, that, and the other, but he does understand the tone of the show, I think. So I do appreciate that from him. And so the next 2 episodes are what? Family Matters 1 and Family Matters 2? Isn't that the
part 1 and part 2?
And I'm assuming that's the end of the Force arc.
I think that's the end. And that Goodbye Vibrations episode is meant to be similar to the Abracadabra episode, or like a bridging episode between the 2 storylines. And then episode 13 is the first one in the this back half storyline, which is called Masquerade. So I don't know if that means like because of masks, like Godspeed or something, or something else.
Yeah. So the Cisco leaving, and somebody mentioned this earlier, and I just thought about it now. Are you okay with the way they're doing that with Camilla and him leaving and going away? Do you think that's fine, or
I'm fine with that if there's actually like a proper reason for it? Because I think it would have been hard to understand if it was specifically Cisco was the reason they were going. Like if that was like he was the one that randomly came with the destination, because like unless he was randomly looking for another job or something. But I think Camilla was probably the get out of jail, if you want to call it, card with this story with like his character. Yeah, I think it would have been hard to explain it just through him. So I think Camilla having an opportunity is probably the best way to go about it.
All right. Now, I
think it's funny that they're going to I do think it's funny they're going to San Francisco.
That is funny. I didn't think about that. Let's see here in the chat. I was thinking about this. Was Diggle supposed to have an episode in Black Lightning this season?
No.
So it was all the other shows, but
it was
Black Lightning.
It was at Vancouver shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because somebody was asking earlier about him being on Black Lightning. I'm like, I couldn't remember if he was confirmed to be on Black Lightning or not. Oh, here we go. Justin, has David Ramsey been on set for any of the shows? I'm still a bit confused on how he will tie into the shows like Batwoman, Superman specifically. How do you think it will all come together?
His first appearance is on Superman, which is in not next week, the week after. So in 2 weeks, you'll see Diggle on Superman and Lois. I
think a lot of people forget that we talked about the fact that we didn't think that David Ramsey's story would be a true crossover, because I didn't think, or a true like big tie-in or whatever. I think they're going to be independent stories on each show that he is just a connective tissue.
Well, even if you look at the Supergirl one, like he's not going to be appearing until like September or something on Supergirl.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't like, and we don't know when his Legends, Batwoman, or Flash episodes are.
Right.
But the thing that it seems is that he's appearing in the episodes he's directing, which was the opposite of what they sort of insinuated when they announced the news. They made it sound like he was appearing in different episodes than in the ones he was directing. But in the Superman and Supergirl ones, he's appearing in the episodes he's directing. So don't expect them to be massive appearances.
There we go. Is Diggle the episode that Ramsey is directing for Superman and Lois?
Yeah, episode 7. Well, it seems in the synopsis it says they have like a surprising encounter. So that's obviously Diggle.
Yeah.
And it's the episode he's directing, episode 7.
In the chat, let me know if you guys are satisfied with the way Cisco's story is going right now. Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? I'm curious what everybody thinks, because I know Cisco is a fan favorite and he's been kind of the heart of the show. For me, like I said earlier, I think that, over the last couple seasons, you can tell that he's just not completely committed. But I'm just wondering how some of the fans feel about it, whether or not they are happy with him leaving or whatever. I know. Well, I don't say happy with him leaving. Are you happy with the way they're handling him leaving? So, Lone Wolf, how many episodes does each show end on? I think we talked about this before. It's between 14 and 19 or something like that. Isn't that
13 and 20. I think Supergirl has 20. Batwoman and Flash have 18. Legends has 13. Black Lightning has 13. Stargirl has 13. And Superman and Lois has 15. Dabbing on them haters.
So far, it looks like based on a very scientific responses here in the chat.
Scientific.
Yeah. Feels like people are. Oh, no, Quinlan's not. All right. There we go.
Uh-oh. Edgy.
Just like Melissa Benoist is not happy with Supergirl right now. I'm okay. So before we wrap this up, this is the 5-minute warning, guys. Before we wrap this up, I want to say that I'm absolutely shocked at the lack of the lead character on a series over on Supergirl. It is so weird to me that she has been absent from almost 3 episodes. She comes in at the very end of this week's episode, but she's basically absent from these last 3 episodes. It is so weird to me. Why do you think? I mean, I know she's a new mother. I get that. But do you have any thoughts on this at all? Isn't it strange?
Well, the thing is that they knew they were going to have this like ridiculously long period of airing time, if that makes sense. So I'm surprised that they weren't able to just figure out later filming times to put the episodes in. Right. Because like they filmed like 5 episodes, I think, since she's come back. Mm-hmm. So surely there could have been like extra time where they film stuff, but I don't know. I understand it was difficult, but
well, see, Space says it's not the show's fault. I get that, but the episodes have been lackluster. I mean, they just like this, this last episode wasn't that good.
There probably was a solution to do it. I think it just maybe would have been a headache, especially if. But the thing is, it's the final season, so you think Melissa would want to go and give it a go. And I'm not blaming her, but I'm just saying like they could have set up the production where, like a production schedule to make the episodes have more of her. Mm-hmm. But maybe they couldn't. Maybe it just couldn't work out.
I'm really happy about Superman and Lois coming back, though. I think I'm gonna have to go back now. I'll probably go on HBO Max before next. I think it leaves at the end of the week.
It goes off the day before it comes back. Okay, on.
I'm gonna rewatch the first like few episodes of that to refresh my memory or whatever going into to coming back or whatever. So if you guys have HBO Max and you want to get ready for the return of Superman and Lois, go watch all them. I think they're all the extended ones, right?
Well,
too, with
the
all
big question is, will you be watching the Snyder Cut during your watch of Superman and Lois? Or will you be rewatching Zack Snyder's Justice League, my dude?
I will not. According to Snyder,
will you be watching Justice is Grey? Will you be watching Justice is Grey?
Not. I haven't watched that yet, and I probably won't.
Eric, can we get our thoughts on Gal Gadot trending today on Twitter?
I just think it's weird. She went from being like this hero last week to being a villain this week. It's kind of interesting that happened.
Well, I saw some interesting quote retweets from her tweet. One was like, "You're a fictional hero in real life and a villain. A fictional hero, but a villain in real life." Mm. Do you agree with that one?
That she's say that again?
A fictional hero, but a villain in real life.
Do I agree with that?
Yes. Can we get some Eric? I'm not going to commentate. I'm just going to get your opinions.
Well, I don't know because if I were to, it would be disingenuous for me to answer that without knowing all the details. I don't know all the details of what happened with her history. I know she was in the military and there was some stuff that happened there. I think at one point in time there was a lot of controversy because she made some statements during Wonder Woman 84, or there's a scene in Wonder Woman 84 that a lot of people were upset about. So out of ignorance, if I were to make a statement, it would probably be not good. So I would have to wait and figure. I can't give a snap answer to that, but I will look it up and figure out. Like,
well, so we got. So here, I'll read some of the quote tweets that I've seen. This is why you're not in Marvel. Yeah, it said you're a fictional hero but a villain in real life. Must be Ares' fault. Jesus. Oh God, I know I should read that one out.
Yeah, don't. Naruto, you're the $5.
It doesn't have any swear words in it.
Yeah, so but still, if it's super edgy, don't do it.
Well, I don't know if it is edgy.
Well, if you said, should I read it out? It makes me wonder what it is. But
I don't know. It might have one trigger word in it for you.
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Someone like y'all need to ratio her ass.
How though? Like, what do you mean? Like,
well, I think she's already getting. I think she's already. Getting
I was gonna say, like, she's probably already getting ratioed already. I don't know how we would do anything with it.
I don't know.
What is the ratio?
I'll type it.
What's the biggest ratio on it? Is she getting like, is there like 1 million retweets on?
It's hard because when you go quote tweets, they don't put them in order of likes and retweets.
They should though. They should.
Oh, here we go. Someone's gone. Israeli soldier turned Hollywood's Wonder Woman multi-millionaire Gal Gadot sends meaningless thoughts and prayers as the Israeli apartheid regime. She supports ethnically cleanses Palestinians and bombs the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, that's definitely going to get this demonetized 100%.
Well, should I just read out the one? Hold on, I'm going to type it in the private chat. And so I'm going to type it.
This is why I hate talking about the DCEU, guys. Okay. This is why I hate it. There's
I'm putting in the
so
private
much
chat,
drama.
Eric. That was a quote tweet I just saw.
Okay, that won't get us demonetized, but that's just wrong.
Okay, so
you can read it out.
Okay,
yeah. You can
so
read it out.
this isn't mine or Eric's thoughts, but this is the quote tweet that just had it has about 1.5k likes and a couple of hundred retweets. You gonna say it, Eric?
No, I'm not saying it. Look, if you're not going to say it, I'm not going to say it.
It's not mine. So yeah, we're just reading. I'll read out a couple of other ones. And I'll mention it in here while there's a lot of people calling her a bitch.
Yes. That's why I don't want to get into this. I don't like attacking actors and actresses and stuff like that. That's why I don't like talking about all this stuff with the actors connected to the Justice League stuff. It's just annoying. Naruto had a $5 super chat. I hope Legends finds Sarah faster than D.
Wait, I think people know what it was. That's I wonder if people saw it because I saw people typing it in the thing. Oh no, it's out of. So someone mentioned the person that was involved in the quote retweet. So I'm always saying it because I have a feeling Eric will get cancelled over it, even though I'll be the one saying it, and even though I'm not saying it.
Listen, look. Here's the thing, guys. Eric 9 years ago, would totally be all into this. Trust me, I would be all into this. The problem is that my channel is basically on a death watch from YouTube right now. Like, if I do anything that even remotely seems controversial, they're probably going to shut me down. So I'm being very, very careful about what I say because I want to be able to continue to do shows on YouTube. And if this is the thing, like when I got in trouble for my last live stream, it almost prevented me from live streaming for like 14 days.
Is that because of the cosplay?
Yeah, it was the cosplay video. So I don't want to have a situation where I can't actually live stream because that would be horrible. I like live streaming. So, but if you would have called me like 8 years ago, I'd have been like, you know what? I don't care. Go ahead and do it. That's the, you know.
Would you probably would have done a video of just reading out the tweets.
Well, because that I don't mind drama. Like if you see me on Twitter, I don't mind talking about.
Well, you are
like
the Arrowverse Keemstar.
I just don't know if it's I hate to do a really good live stream like the one we've had with good debates in it, and then have it struck because we made one comment about some stupid DCEU drama. Because literally, the DCU is a toxic topic. It always is. I can't think of any conversation we've ever had about the DCEU that isn't some horrible thing. It's just really, really, really a problem. There's so much drama around it. I wish we could just talk about superheroes, but when it comes to the film side of it, it's always some drama with like behind the scenes stuff or something that's just always annoying. And I get so tired of talking about it. It's like, how can something be so problematic? That's my question. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? I don't know. But I'm the shill, but I'm the Marvel shill, right? That's me. I'm the Marvel shill.
No, the cosplay the cosplay got you in trouble. I thought someone said it got you demonetized. It didn't get you demonetized, did it?
No, they blocked I couldn't log into my channel for like 24 hours, and the video was stuck in unlisted because I put it on unlisted so I could wait to see if it was going to get demonetized, because that's usually what happens. But then I couldn't get back into my channel, so it was unlisted for the entire time that I was unable to access my channel. So there we go.
Here we go. Well, here's another tweet. Using quite a number of words to say very little. This celebrity got ratioed. OMFG. Someone quoting the Bible. Apparently all her films flopped. I think every film she's been in has been profitable. Gal Gadot.
Oh, I didn't even know she'd been in anything until Wonder Woman. That's the only thing I knew her from. Whatever. Here's the deal, though. If we were exclusively on Twitch, I would 100% talk about any of this stuff, because Twitch it's like you do the video, people can put clips on it, but the video just goes away after a while. Like you don't have to worry about it. But over here on YouTube, it's a completely different thing. It's not exclusively on Twitch. If you guys want like a drama show where I just read stuff from Twitter and Reddit, let me know. I mean, I'll do it, but it's only going to be on Twitch. I'm not going to do it on YouTube.
Okay. I've got 4 more. This will be the last 4 tweets I read.
Okay.
Someone went suck your mum. Someone went STFU. Maybe Joss Whedon was right. and go F off and go to hell, you colonizer. That's the final four. This has been Tweet Reading with Eric and Paigey. Mainly me, but Eric reacting.
It's just, I don't know.
I snuck in the edgy one there because
I just, you did sneak it in there. I just wish that we could, so this is my, like, you just to quote, or to be a character from Jupiter's Legacy. This is my utopian dream with the movies or whatever, is that we could get on, we could talk about the writing, we could talk about the special effects, we could talk about the characters, we could talk about the comic books, but when it comes to the film stuff, it goes back to the actors and actresses. It always does. I don't know why that is. I don't get it. I really don't. I totally don't get it. It's almost like they basically put themselves in a position like that. They insert themselves into a narrative, and it's like, ugh. I don't know. And again, if you guys want me to do like a Twitch show with Paigey, and we do hashtag drama alert for like comic book stuff or whatever, just let me know. Like, hit me up on Twitter, leave it down in the comment section below this video or whatever. I don't mind. I don't mind doing it. It's okay to talk about, but from the format of trying to keep a channel alive, it's very problematic. It's very, very problematic. Like, because it falls into that category of like news stuff, and YouTube is very weird about it. It's very, very weird.
Well, I don't know, because I think every week you just have Ray Fisher would be your headline.
I can't even do it just for members, guys. I literally can't do it on YouTube.
Are you suggesting this is the launch of the OnlyFans?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Maybe possibly.
The only issue is I don't think you can advertise OnlyFans on YouTube.
You cannot. You can talk about it, but if you put it in your info box or whatever,
you can't put the link. Yeah.
So I'm not reading Jupiter's Legacy, but I am watching the show. It's tough. It's tough. I'm
not watching it because the trailer looked terrible.
Paigey, I'm just going to tell you this. You were right about Jupiter's Legacy back when we talked about it. We talked about the advertisement and everything. Like, you were right about like not watching it or whatever. It doesn't necessarily look cheap. I won't say that, but it's tough. It's like, so The Boys is violent, but The Boys is also funny. So you get the humor, you get the violence, it all kind of works together. Invincible's really good because the story's really compelling and it's over the top or whatever. Jupiter's Legacy is like slow. Like really, really, really slow. Like, there's an entire episode where I'm like, we could have done all of this in 5 minutes. Why is this a whole episode? It's tough.
And they have no excuse because it's streaming. It's like they have to fill a set episode schedule.
It's like, imagine, okay, so people criticize Zack Snyder for like, how dark his take is on like superheroes and stuff. Go watch Jupiter's Legacy. If you think what Zack does is too dark, go watch Jupiter's Legacy and see what you think. Justice League, the 4-hour cut of Justice League is like the Marvel stuff compared to Jupiter's Legacy. I'm just saying. No, don't watch Invincible if you're looking for something new.
Or the Son of Sam documentary on Netflix.
Or that. So
I think it's called Sons of Sam.
Alert! Stop hating. Like, what I said was hating Zack. Because
you are a Zack Snyder hater.
I simply said
you gave the Snyder cut a 1 out of 10.
I said if you were one of the people who think Zack Snyder is too dark, go and watch it. It's like Marvel compared to Jupiter's Legacy.
Eric, are you part of the Restore the Snyderverse campaign?
I'm not, but somebody.
Oh wow! What a hater! Hater!
Andrew got triggered because of a statement I made that was totally not hating Zack Snyder. Wait! It's not what you meant. You literally said stop hating Zack. What other? I don't know what other meaning that would have, but yeah. The whole storyline with Utopian's daughter, boring. Andrew, you say you're not attacking. That's fine. I was joking. That's why I was laughing when I pulled that up on the screen. The Irregulars
without you.
Look, Hood Rat Pat. The Irregulars has been canceled already. So
The Irregulars, what's that?
It's a story about Sherlock Holmes and people with magical powers.
Isn't that Joss Whedon's The Nevers?
No, the Nevers. Oh. The Nevers and the they're similar, but it's not the same. But Irregulars, I believe it got canceled because Irregulars. So do you remember? Did you ever watch Enola Holmes? The one with Henry Cavill?
It looked shot.
So. Okay, so here's the thing: the people that own the Sherlock Holmes character, there's one that's owned by the copyright holders, and then there's one that's public domain. I believe the Irregulars, the version they used, treaded too closely to the one that is owned by the copyright holders instead of the one that's public domain.
Is that why he's like just a straight up detective?
Yeah.
So he's not like Robert Downey Jr. like action Sherlock Holmes or anything like that.
Yeah. Andrew, I don't stress out about it, dude. Seriously. Like, I know you weren't attacking. I was joking around. You're good. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, guys. We're gonna get out of here. Don't forget that the after party will be changing slightly at the end of the month. We're going to do one more week at normal time, and then we may shift after that. So stay tuned to the channel. And
we can confirm the quiz has now been on hold for 2 weeks.
Yeah, because Ben.
1 week we're blaming Eric. This week we're blaming Ben.
Yeah, so. Next week it'll be your fault, Paigey. You'll have to leave early or something.
No, I'll be here. Rise and shine.
So, all right, we're out, guys. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye. Big booty.